Stop acting like my body belongs to you. She snapped after I asked why her ex keeps calling, so I packed my bags in silence. Now he's gone, and she's begging me to come home. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. When I first met Lena, I thought she was the kind of person who could make any room brighter. She had that rare mix of confidence and humor that pulled people in. At work functions or friend gatherings, she'd float around like she belonged everywhere, and somehow, she made me feel like I did too. I wasn't flashy. I worked in IT for a mid-sized tech company downtown. Lena worked in marketing for a boutique agency across town. My life before her was quiet, gym after work, video calls with my family on weekends, maybe a movie night here and there. She was the opposite. Social, always posting something witty, always getting tagged in photos with a dozen friends. I thought we balanced each other out, her energy, my steadiness. When we started dating, she used to say things like, "I love how safe I feel with you." I didn't realize then that safe wasn't a compliment in her vocabulary. By the third year together, we moved in. It was her idea. We found a 2-bedroom apartment that split the difference between our jobs. I gave up the second bedroom, the one I'd planned to use as a small home office, so she could have her own content space for her side projects. I didn't mind. I liked seeing her happy. We were both on the lease, splitting rent 50/50ths, though I usually covered utilities and groceries without keeping score. At first, things were easy. We cooked together, stayed up too late watching shows, talked about traveling. I thought we were building a life. Then, little shifts started. She began going out after work more often, happy hours, team dinners, birthdays I'd never heard of. I didn't want to be the insecure boyfriend, so I never pressed. But I noticed her texts slowed down during those nights. One evening, I asked, "Everything okay lately? You've been really busy." She barely looked up from her phone. "It's called having a social life, Ethan. You should try it." It stung, but I let it go. I told myself she was just stressed, maybe feeling stuck in routine. Then she mentioned her ex for the first time in years. We were having dinner, and out of nowhere, she said, "Guess who texted me today? Caleb." I froze for a second, but tried to play it cool. "Caleb, as in your ex?" "Yeah," she said, twirling her fork like it was nothing. "He saw my latest post and said it made him laugh. We just caught up. It's not a big deal." I nodded slowly. "Didn't you two end on bad terms?" "He apologized," she said, shrugging. "People grow. We're adults." It's nice to talk to someone who remembers who I used to be. I wanted to ask, "What's wrong with who you are now?" But I stayed quiet. Over the next few weeks, her phone was always face down. She'd get messages and angle the screen away. Sometimes she'd smile at nothing, then glance at me and quickly look away. One night, I walked past the bedroom while she was on a call. I caught the tail end of her laugh, the kind I hadn't heard in months. "Stop it," she said, voice low, playful. "You always knew how to make me laugh." When she noticed me in the doorway, she jumped like I'd caught her stealing. "Who was that?" I asked quietly. "Just a friend," she said, too fast. "God, Ethan, don't sneak up on me like that." I didn't say anything else that night. I lay awake while she scrolled through her phone next to me, pretending not to see the small smile she tried to hide. The next day, I tried to bring it up calmly. "Was that Caleb you were talking to last night?" Her expression changed instantly, defensive, sharp. "Wow, really? We're doing this." "I'm just asking," I said. "It's been every night lately. You act like you're hiding it." She crossed her arms, smirking. "Stop acting like my body belongs to you." That hit harder than I expected. "I didn't say anything about your body," I replied, confused. "I asked about who you're talking to." "Yeah, and that's exactly the problem," she snapped. "You think you get to monitor what I do, who I talk to, where I go. I'm allowed to have friends, Ethan." "I never said you weren't," I said quietly. "But when your ex is calling every night, it's fair to ask what's going on." She laughed, a short, bitter sound. "You're so paranoid. Maybe that's why I need someone to actually talk to." That one cut deep. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just stood there, trying to understand how the person who used to thank me for being understanding could twist it into an accusation. Later that night, she slid into bed like nothing happened. "Are you mad at me?" she asked, her voice soft again. "I'm just confused," I said. "I don't know what I did to make you feel like I'm controlling you." She sighed dramatically. "You're making everything heavy again. You always do that lately." And with that, she turned over, back facing me, scrolling through her phone in the dark. That was the first night I realized she wasn't really beside me anymore, not in any way that mattered. Still, I kept trying. The next week, I cooked her favorite dinner, tried to reconnect. She barely looked up from her messages. When I asked if she wanted to go see a movie together, she smiled without looking up. Can't. Already have plans. With who? Just friends, she said. Don't make it weird. But the word friends had started sounding like a punchline. A few days later, I was having lunch with a friend, Megan, who had met Lena a few times at group dinners. She hesitated before speaking. Hey, Ethan? Weird question, but I was at Cafe Luna yesterday, and I thought I saw Lena there with someone. Was that you? I frowned. No, I was at work all day. What? Her expression shifted. Oh, I didn't want to assume, but she was with a guy. They looked pretty close. Did you recognize him? I asked, even though I already knew the answer. I think it was that ex she used to mention. Caleb? She said carefully. I'm sorry, I just thought you should know. I forced a small smile. Thanks for telling me. For the rest of the afternoon, I barely heard a word anyone said. I went home early, trying to calm myself before she got there. When Lena finally walked in around 8, she acted like everything was normal. She tossed her purse on the counter, humming as she opened the fridge. How was work? She asked. I didn't answer right away. You were at Cafe Luna yesterday? She froze for half a second, just long enough to confirm it. Then turned around, feigning confusion. What? Megan saw you there, I said quietly. With Caleb. Her expression hardened instantly. You're unbelievable. Just answer the question, I said. Were you there with him? Yes, I was, she snapped, slamming the fridge door. He wanted to talk about something personal. I didn't think I had to ask your permission to get coffee. I stayed calm. You don't. But you've been lying about it for weeks. Oh my God, Ethan, she said, laughing bitterly. You're so dramatic. I didn't tell you because you'd react exactly like this, like a jealous teenager. Do you hear yourself? I asked. You've been hiding calls, meeting your ex in secret, and I'm the problem? You're insecure, she said sharply. That's why this relationship feels suffocating. You don't trust me. Should I? I asked quietly. She looked away, jaw tightening. You know what? Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe we both need some space. You're making me feel like I can't breathe. That line stuck in my head. I can't breathe. She said it like I was strangling her, not with my hands, but with my loyalty. I didn't say anything else that night. I just nodded, said, all right, and went to bed. She didn't come home the next night, or the next, or the one after that. Her messages were short, detached, staying with a friend. Need time to think. I knew it wasn't a friend. On the third night, I got a text at 1 a.m., don't wait up. I hadn't been. When she finally came back Friday morning, she looked like someone returning from a vacation, not a girlfriend coming back to have a difficult conversation. New jacket I'd never seen. Hair freshly done. The faint smell of cologne that wasn't mine. So, she said, standing in the doorway. Are we going to have another fight, or can we be adults about this? I looked at her for a moment. Be adults. Yeah, she said, crossing her arms. You've been acting so intense. I just needed some space. You don't own me, Ethan. I nodded slowly. You're right. I don't. She blinked, caught off guard. Good. So can we stop being weird now? Instead of answering, I turned toward the bedroom. I started taking my things from the drawers, my clothes, my laptop, the framed photo of my parents that used to sit on the nightstand. What are you doing? She asked, her tone shifting. Giving you what you wanted, I said quietly. Space. Ethan, stop. You're being ridiculous. I'm not angry, I said. I just don't see a reason to stay where I'm not wanted. She laughed, but it sounded forced. Oh my God, this is so dramatic. We just had a disagreement. No, I said, zipping my suitcase. We stopped being a we when you started hiding who you were with. Wow, she said, rolling her eyes. You're really going to throw everything away over a coffee? Over a lie, I corrected. Her jaw dropped. You're so fragile, Ethan. No wonder I felt trapped. I looked at her for a long moment, not with anger, just quiet disbelief. You're free now, I said, and then I walked out. She didn't follow me. She didn't even call after I closed the door. By the time I got to my car, the only sound was the faint echo of her voice fading behind me. The same voice that used to make me feel lucky, now hollow and cruel. I drove to my brother's place that night. Matt didn't ask questions, just handed me a beer and let me sit in silence. When I finally checked my phone hours later, there was one message from her. "You're really doing this?" I didn't reply. The next morning, I texted her one last time. "I'm moving out. I'll cover my half of rent through the end of the lease. After that, it's yours if you want to renew a loan." Left my key on the counter. No response. I didn't block her number. Not yet. I just stopped checking it. That night, for the first time in months, I slept without wondering if the door would open. The first week after I left was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you realize how much noise one person can bring into your life, even when they're not speaking. I stayed with Matt, sleeping on his couch. He never pushed me to talk, just left extra coffee for me in the morning and kept the fridge stocked with takeout. By the end of the week, I felt the fog lifting. I wasn't angry anymore, just tired. The kind of tired that comes from carrying something that was already dead for too long. Then the messages started. At first, they came from her actual number. "Can we please talk?" I didn't respond. I think we both overreacted. Still nothing. "I miss you." I stared at that one for a while before putting my phone face down. A few days later, the tone shifted. "You're being childish." Then, "You think ignoring me makes you better than me? You're still the same cold, passive guy who made me feel trapped." I almost laughed at that one. Over the next few weeks, I threw myself into work. Without the emotional drain of wondering where Lena was or who she was with, my focus sharpened. I finished projects ahead of schedule, volunteered for initiatives I'd been too distracted to pursue before. 6 weeks after I left, my manager called me into his office. "We're creating a new operations lead position," he said. "You were the first person I thought of." Interested? I didn't hesitate. "Absolutely." 2 weeks later, it was official. New title, significant raise, better hours. The kind of opportunity I'd been working toward for years but couldn't see through the fog of my failing relationship. The promotion came with a better paycheck, and I used it to move into a one-bedroom apartment in a nicer part of town, a space that was entirely mine, filled with only my things, my choices, my peace. Matt helped me move in on a Saturday. As we unpacked boxes, he finally asked the question he'd been holding back. "You doing okay, man?" "Yeah," I said and meant it. "I really am." He nodded. "She reach out lately?" "Not in a while," I said. I think she finally got the message. But I was wrong. Through mutual friends, I started hearing fragments of her unraveling. A college friend mentioned she'd seen Lena post something cryptic about toxic people and finally being free. Another friend said she'd quit her job at the marketing agency, something about wanting to pursue her passion projects full-time. I didn't ask for details. I didn't want them. Then, about 2 months after I'd moved out, I got a text from Josh, a mutual friend from our college days. "Dude, just saw your ex at Northside Bar. She's having a full meltdown. Thought you should know." I stared at the message for a moment, then put my phone away. Whatever was happening in her life wasn't my problem anymore. But 2 days later, Lena herself sent me a long, rambling message at 2 a.m. "You were right about everything. Caleb was using me. He had a girlfriend the whole time. I found out tonight when she showed up at his place while I was there. He told her I was just some girl from work who got the wrong idea. I'm so stupid. I left you for this. I threw away everything for someone who saw me as a joke." I read it twice. Then I deleted it without responding. The next morning, I woke up to 3 more messages. "Please, Ethan. I know I don't deserve it, but I need someone to talk to. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I see it now. Please." I didn't reply. A week later, Matt and I were at a coffee shop near my new place when I saw her. She was sitting alone in the corner, staring at her phone. No makeup, dark circles under her eyes, wearing an oversized hoodie I didn't recognize. She looked like someone who'd forgotten what sleep felt like. She noticed me and froze. For a second, I thought she might look away, but instead, she gave a small, almost embarrassed smile and stood up. "Hey," she said softly as she approached. "Hey," I replied, polite but distant. "How have you been?" she asked, voice thin. "Good," I said simply. Her eyes flicked to Matt, then back to me. Can we talk? Just for a minute." Matt caught my eye. I gave him a small nod. "I'll grab us more coffee," he said, walking away to give us space. Lena sat down across from me, wrapping her hands around her cold cup. "I'm not doing great," she said quietly. "Things have been really rough." I didn't respond. I didn't know her comfort. She looked at me for a long moment, like she wanted to say something more, but couldn't find the words. Caleb, he wasn't who I thought he was. He used me, made me think we were building something real, and then his girlfriend showed up, and her voice cracked. It doesn't matter. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. Okay, I said. She blinked, surprised by how flat my response was. That's it. Just okay? What do you want me to say? I asked calmly. I don't know, she whispered. Maybe that you understand, that you forgive me. I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw someone I used to know, someone I used to care about. But the person sitting across from me now felt like a stranger wearing a familiar face. I do forgive you, I said quietly. But that doesn't mean I want you back in my life. Her eyes filled with tears. I thought we had something real. We did, I said, until you decided it wasn't enough. She wiped her eyes quickly. I made a mistake. A huge one. But people make mistakes, Ethan. And people face consequences, I said. Matt returned with the coffees, and I stood up. I hope things get better for you, I said, and I meant it. But I'm not the person who can help you anymore. She nodded slowly, tears streaming down her face now. I'm glad you're okay, she whispered. Thanks, I said, and then I walked away. Outside, Matt handed me my coffee. You good? Yeah, I said. I really am. I thought that would be the last time I'd see her. But 3 weeks later, I was at the grocery store when I saw her in the checkout line ahead of me. She was buying instant ramen, energy drinks, and a loaf of bread, the diet of someone barely scraping by. She saw me and froze. Ethan, she said quietly. Hey, I replied, keeping my tone neutral. I've been meaning to reach out, she said, shifting her weight nervously. Things have been really hard. I lost my apartment. Caleb and I. She stopped herself. Never mind. That's not your problem. I nodded. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you? She asked, searching my face. I am, I said honestly. But it doesn't change anything. Her eyes filled with tears again. I know I don't deserve your help, but I'm desperate. Is your company hiring? I just need a reference. Or maybe you could put in a word. I don't think that would be appropriate, I said gently but firmly. She bit her lip, nodding quickly. Right. Of course. That was stupid of me to ask. Good luck, Lena, I said. I paid for my groceries and left while she was still standing there, staring at the ramen in her hands. A month later, I was leaving my apartment building after work when I saw her sitting on the bench outside. She stood up when she saw me, looking even thinner than before, her clothes hanging loosely. Ethan, she said, her voice breaking. Please don't walk away. I just want to explain. There's nothing to explain, I said calmly. Yes, there is, she said, stepping forward. After Caleb dumped me, well, after his actual girlfriend kicked me out, I had nowhere to go. I'd already given up my apartment to move in with him full time. I thought we were building something real. Like we were building? I asked calmly. She flinched. That's different. How? She had no answer. I thought I wanted freedom, she continued, her voice shaking. I thought I could handle life without anyone holding me accountable. But I was wrong, okay? He used me. He lied to me. And when he got bored, he dumped me like I was nothing. I don't have anyone left. I nodded slowly. That's rough. She winced at the coldness in my tone. You really don't care at all? You made your choices, I said. And I made mine. You wanted space. Now you have it. Tears streamed down her face. You don't miss me at all? I looked her in the eye and said, no. I miss who I thought you were. But that person doesn't exist. Her lips trembled. I could be that person again, Ethan. I just need another chance. Please. I'm barely surviving. My parents won't help me anymore. I have no one. You've already had more chances than I should have given, I said. You didn't want love, you wanted control. And when you lost it, you called it freedom. She shook her head in disbelief. So that's it. After everything we had. We didn't have anything, I said quietly. You just had me. And you threw that away. She stared at me for a long time, her face crumpling. Finally, she whispered, I hate you. Maybe, I said, turning toward the building entrance. But at least now, you finally feel something real. I walked away while she stood there, still rooted to the spot. She didn't follow. She didn't call after me. She just let me go, the way I'd been letting go for months. A few weeks later, Josh texted me. Heard Lena moved back in with her parents. Apparently, she's working on herself. Thought you'd want to know. I read the message and felt nothing. No satisfaction, no vindication, just a distant acknowledgement that her story had continued without me in it. Thanks for letting me know, I replied. Hope she figures it out. And I meant it. By the time spring rolled around, I was hiking again on weekends, volunteering at a local community center, and finally building a life that wasn't about fixing someone else's damage. I'd started seeing someone new, a woman named Claire who worked in accounting at a company 2 floors below mine. We'd met at a coffee shop, started talking about books, and somehow ended up talking for 3 hours. She was kind, honest, direct. When she said she'd call, she called. When she made plans, she showed up. When I asked about her day, she told me the truth. It was shockingly simple, and I realized that's all I'd ever wanted. One Saturday afternoon, Claire and I were hiking a trail outside the city when she asked, "You ever think about your ex?" Sometimes, I admitted. But not the way I used to. What changed, she asked. I thought about it for a moment. I stopped seeing her as someone I lost. I started seeing her as someone I escaped. Claire smiled. Good. You deserve better than someone who made you feel small. I know, I said. And I did. That night, as we sat on my couch watching a movie, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. I opened it out of curiosity. I saw on Instagram that you're seeing someone. She looks really nice. I'm happy for you. I mean it. I know I don't have the right to say this, but I hope you're happy. You deserve it. I'm sorry for everything. I really am. I read it once. Then I deleted it. Claire glanced over. Everything okay? Yeah, I said, putting my phone away. Just someone from the past. Want to talk about it? No, I said, smiling. I'm good. And I was. Because somewhere along the way, I'd stopped waiting for closure from someone who could never give it. I'd stopped needing an apology from someone who would never truly understand what they'd done. I'd stopped carrying the weight of someone else's choices. Lena once told me I made her feel trapped. Funny thing is, I was the one in a cage the whole time. And the day I stopped fighting for her was the day I walked out free. Now, sitting next to someone who actually wanted to be there, I realized something simple. Freedom isn't loud. It's not dramatic. It's not revenge or karma or watching someone fall apart. Freedom is quiet. It's waking up without dread. It's building a life with people who choose you back. It's realizing that the person who left you wasn't a loss. They were a lesson. And the real victory isn't them coming back. It's you not caring if they do. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.